Good evening, I am Preston Miller. My son Sam is taking a video of me doing a walkthrough on a 2021 New Camp Tab 320S Boondock. We're going to start off by talking about the warranties, the gift box, and the bag of information. When you buy a trailer, you'll get a gift box with a welcome and a bag full of warranty information. The first thing I want to show you is there's a 3-year structural warranty that would include against any leaks of any kind and the structure itself, everything that's structural. There's a 1-year warranty on all of the other workmanship, and there are some items that are excluded from warranty. Those are items that have their own standalone warranty. For example, a fantastic fan vent has a lifetime warranty on the dome, 5 years on the parts, and 3 years parts and labor. So that's just an example of the way the warranty is set up. Inside here I also have a welcome from the people who build the camper. And inside is Scott Hubble, CEO of New Camp, signatures of the people who build. And All Pro Adventures is the source for buying tents and accessories that would go along with the camper. In here also, in this gift box, would be a flashlight, deck of cards, a bar of soap, an insulator for your drink, and a logbook to record some of the places you travel to. In here also would be 2 sets of keys. The black key would be the door's key. The smaller black key would be for your cassette toilet, and this silver key is for the roof rack, in case you want to take the roof rack off or adjust the position. I want to briefly give you an overview of the books. The most important book here would be the Alde manual. The Alde is that boiler, the famous boiler from Sweden that is very highly efficient and runs on propane or electric. The beautiful thing about it is it's quiet. Unlike most RVs where you get the noise when the heater turns on, it's a forced air system, it blows hot air around, makes it too hot, then it shuts off, the trailer gets too cold. You don't have that with the Alde system. This is radiators, radiant heat, a boiler to do the hot water, and it's a marvelous, quiet operating system. We'll go over that when we get inside. It has pictorial diagrams of each thing that you would want to set it for, and we'll cover that inside. Next up would be the Air 8. The Air 8 has a touch screen, and on the second last page there's a picture of that touch screen that you would need in order to know how to set it, because the icons might not be familiar. Of course, the snowflake would be. In addition, we have the Miller Trailer Sales dealer prep that we do, all the systems we check, and some important numbers like tire pressure is 50, lug nuts torque to 100 foot-pounds, and the voltages that the power converter operates at. This bag has a whole bunch of warranties on each of the individual items, and those warranties are explained. They actually are initiated with us registering your camper in your name. There are a few things that you may have to do mail-in warranties or online registration for. One of them would be the microwave. The Dometic cooktop is new. There's a battery in to operate the igniter. That battery has not been put in yet. I may put it in yet this evening. You can light it with just a regular striker, then you would never have to worry about the battery leaking and damaging the electronics. That's why it's in here right now. Also, we have a separate control for the radio remote and a remote for the television, and some hardware that came with the mounting instructions for the entertainment center. Okay, with that, I want to go around and show you some of the other systems. We're going to start with, next up would be the batteries, solar, 30 amp shore power, and the power converter. Starting with the batteries, Mary, you chose the AGM batteries. It's a good choice because the AGMs are sealed batteries that you don't need to worry about gassing, and they will cycle more times than just a regular flooded battery. So they give you a lot of energy. You can run them down to about 50%, as compared with some of the others should not be run that low. As you see, I found a way to put my power cord, the water hose, and the stabilizer jack crank all here right on top. If you snake the handle out from underneath the hose, it works pretty well to set it right on top there. It's a good storage area for it instead of trying to store it inside somewhere. Okay, so I have this battery cover loose for the purpose of showing you that each battery is protected with a fuse. So we've got a fuse on each of the solar and for each of the batteries. That way everything is protected. The only time these fuses would tend to blow would be if you drop this cord into water, into a water puddle and make a dead short, or somehow the wiring on your car gets shorted and brings a short into here. It's not common for these fuses to go out, but the fuses themselves are very common. They're the most widely used for cars and motorhomes and trailers. So it's the ATC style, and in the kit that you purchased, there is a fuse assortment there and a fuse puller. While we're talking about the starter kit, we've got a lock that goes onto the coupler when you're not using it to provide some security there. We've got a lock that can go on your ball mount and key-to-like lock that'll go into the coupler. We've also got the 30 amp to 15 amp power cord adapter so you can plug in at home. We've got a water pressure regulator that is made out of brass. And we've got the special toilet paper that decomposes more rapidly than normal toilet paper. It's better for the tank so there are no clogs. We've also got a really nice sewer hose. This sewer hose is not like a slinky. You pull it out, it stays. You push it back, it stays. This Rhinoflex is pretty special to me. From here, we're going to talk about the water system and the water wastewater system. I have in this also an adapter for the water hose. We're going to walk back here and look at the Nautilus system. This trailer has a brand new Nautilus water system, which is really nice. It's even got a light inside, so I can turn on the light and see what I've got to hook up to. Okay, so the first thing I want to show you is I have a 45-degree angle adapter that can be screwed right into my inlet, and that would be used for both water connection for city water, or if I want to fill the tank. I would use this diagram to determine how I'm going to set it in order to fill the tank. Right now I have the tank 2/3 full, and I have it to the dry camp mode, which means I can take water out of the freshwater tank. So that would go in there, and then the water hose would come in through the bottom, through this adapter, making it a very neat installation. I also have here a custom-made hose for winterizing or sanitizing. That says sanitize and winterize, and so I would actually just screw this hose on here, set my levers where I need to, my blue and my green levers where I need to, and I have access to the pump here for the water pump. I can turn it on and make the solution, whether it's to sanitize or to winterize. I can suck it right out of the 1-gallon container and put it into the plumbing only. There's, on the inside here, there's a lever, a heater, hot water heater bypass lever that I can turn up to the bypass mode, and that allows me to keep the water from the antifreeze from going into my hot water tank. By doing that, I save 3 gallons of antifreeze. I only have to put about a gallon into the plumbing. I leave my freshwater tank empty, drain it out. It's not going to freeze if it's empty. Same way with the hot water boiler. I leave that empty, and I don't have to worry about it freezing. So we can go over winterizing at another time, but I just want you to know that you are set up with everything you need to winterize as well. Now let's talk about the wastewater. With the wastewater, underneath here I have an adapter. It's a clear adapter to bring the point of discharge out to where it's easy to get to. Okay, so this adapter screws on with 4 collar locks, and it can stay there when you're traveling, and it has the convenience of being able to hook up easily without crawling under there. Now, this being a boondock, it's not too hard to reach under here to reach the handle. On those that are not boondocks, I tend to put an extension on that lever as well, but we're in good shape here. Now with that lever to open up the gray water, we have hooked it up to the collar, the adapter. We're going to take this out and put this thimble into the ground, either at the dump station or right in the campsite if they have a sewage hookup there. And I just simply screw that in first, screw this onto it, and then when I'm ready to dump, I can open my gray water dump valve and drain the water. Now, why would I not just leave it open all the time? Well, the reason would be you don't want the smell of the sewer gravitating up in and coming out your plumbing vent. By having it so that you just open it when you need to, any solids that are in your in your gray water tend to be flushed out real easily. If you leave it run out all the time, the water runs out and the solids stay in the tank. You want them to be able to float and come out all at one time. Okay, so moving on, talking a little bit more about the water system. Inside we also have that Alde boiler. The marvelous Alde boiler has 2 tanks. One is for the glycol, and in the glycol there are 2 heating elements. So when I turn on the 120 volt power for that heater, it's heating the elements in the glycol, and wrapped around the tank of glycol is another tank for the fresh water. And that tank is the one that has no direct heating on it. It's transferred from the inner core tank. The propane burner is in the center of the glycol tank, and the heating elements are in the glycol. So when you turn it on propane, it'll do 18,000 BTU out of the propane and heat you up nice and fast. You can also turn it on electric at the same time, get that heat up rapidly, and then it'll prioritize the electric after that for you. Okay, the next subject is going to be, I believe, the cassette toilet. I lost track of my... Okay, next subject is the cassette toilet. Here they are. Okay, the cassette toilet is a very special way of dealing with your black water. What makes it so special is that you can use this toilet in the wintertime. Unlike those that have a holding tank, your holding tank would freeze. You wouldn't be able to empty it when it's below 32 degrees without getting a crust of ice. Whereas with this, it's insulated well enough that you can use that at night, even on say a 20-degree night. And in the morning, come out here, release that, pull it out, set it down on its wheels, stretch out the handle, take it over to the dump station or the men's or women's room. Take it inside there, put the handle back in, twist up the dump, open the cap, set the cap aside, lift up the tank, put your hand at this end. Your thumb conveniently is able to open an air release so that you can dump it without it gurgling right down the toilet. And then you can take it, put the cap back on, maybe go outside where there's a water hose or a water faucet, open up, twist open the trap door there, spray some water in there, close the trap door, put that back in place, rinse it around, take the cap off, dump it a second time into the dump station. You're clean and ready to go back into place. Okay, so we have everything lined up as it was, so that when we put it in place, everything works the way it's supposed to. There's also a way to lock that with the key, which is a very good idea. You don't want anybody messing with your septic system. All right, so we've talked about the batteries. I want to spend just a minute on the solar panel on the front side here. Must be in the sun in order to really develop its potential and keep your batteries charged. If you're in a campground, being in the shade is no problem if you have power, but you've got to be in the sun if you want to make power. The 30 amp shore power cord plugs in right here. As you twist the cord in, it will latch in. Even if you don't use the collar, it will latch in. And you'll be able to plug it into a 30 amp, or you can use the adapter that we have to plug into a 15 amp. Along with your starter kit, you also got a 35-foot drinking water hose. I want to talk briefly about stabilizer jacks. We've got stabilizer jacks on all four corners. They are not used for leveling. They are just to make it stable. When you want to level it, you need blocks, either blocks of wood or an RV leveling kit that contains the special wedge type adapters to go underneath the wheel. Pull the vehicle onto those adapters to level it up, or the levelers, chalk it, and then unhook and use your jack to level it front to rear. So first of all, you level it side to side by backing it up or pulling it up into place, and then you level it front to rear with your front tongue jack. After that, you can put the stabilizers down, or if you left the trailer attached to your car, you don't need to bother putting the stabilizers down. There's really no need unless you're concerned about the way the trailer rocks. Stabilizers use a 3/4 socket on here. They're very easy to crank down. This crank especially has been well made. It's got a very nice plastic handhold right here. When it comes down, you may have to move the foot in order to have it come down level. You should have some kind of a block or stabilizer jack kit that allows you to keep it from getting into the mud. Some people like to use their cordless drill and put an adapter on. That's okay if you have strong wrists, but a lot of times a drill will be strong enough to actually to sprain your wrist when it comes to the end of the travel going back up. Since we were talking about the batteries and the solar and the electrical, I want to continue with that inside. This would be your power converter. And this power converter has all the 12-volt fuses on the right side and your 120-volt circuit breakers on the left. Sometimes the fan will run, depending on whether it's hot or not. These fuses, when they go bad, sometimes they will light an indicator to show that they're bad. Other times they will not, but the appliance just won't work. And in that case, you'll have to do a little troubleshooting to see which fuse is at fault. It is not common for these fuses to fail, but if you have a power surge, a lightning strike, a bad ground, something like that, it could cause a fuse to blow out. Also talking about electrical, we have a GFI outlet here. Your outlets for the sink area are actually down in the cupboard. That one also has a USB and a 12 volt. And of course this one is on the same GFI that's behind me here. You bring those cords up through the counter. It makes it a very neat installation. Very clean look on top. These cabinets are very nice in terms of the way they latch, the flush mounted hinges. Plenty of room in these cabinets. The drawers also very special. A lot of easy access with that drawer. This is an isotherm fridge, and this fridge is compressor driven, so we don't have to worry about the problems that you would have with a gas absorption fridge. You get much better efficiency. It's got a magnet to hold the door open on the ice box, on the freezing compartment. If you plan to boondock in the summer, you need full sun in order to keep this fridge up. I want to come back out here and continue with our walk around the outside of the camper. I should point out that this platform is aluminum, and the platform, while it is strong, it does have a weight limitation. I estimate it to be about 150 pounds per side. If someone 300 pounds sits on there or stands on there, they could change the shape of that platform. Very nice having the lighted step area. Nice wide step. You see that I've added this outdoor RV step. This one's called a safety step. Right there, get a shot of that safety step. I believe it cost me around $75. The nice part about that is the dirt off your feet can fall right through it. If you didn't like the height of that, you can make something up yourself. This one's made out of cedar and pressure treated, and it's similar in design, but it's not the right height either. Over here we have the freshwater tank drain. If you look under there, it does say fresh tank drain, and it's simply a drain cock that we turn a quarter turn counterclockwise to open. You would drain that tank at the end of your camping trip. We don't want stale water left in the system. We don't really want water left in the heater tank because any impurities in the water might attach themselves to the walls of the tank if left long. Inside here we have the 120 volt power, so you could put your outdoor table, your table outside here, and do your grill bacon out here instead of inside. One thing I want to caution you about leaving the table out: if it rains, the table will get damaged from rain. It has a wood core, so you need a trash bag or something to protect that table if you leave it outside in the rain. On the back side here we have the roof rack. There are keys that unlock each of these sides. After you unlock them, you squeeze it and pull down on this plastic, and then you can lift off or adjust the position of these roof rack bars. This part has a very nice appearance. It's good for hanging socks on to dry or whatever, towels. It doesn't have a lot of strength, so just be careful not to be abusing it. It's not made to be a step to climb up and work at adjusting things on the roof rack. If you wanted to, you could add a camera to the bottom of this. With this bar in that position, there might be some interference, but I believe it would work. It would be, you'd have to take the wires all the way down to the front and tie them into the junction box in front in order to get the power you need, so when you turn on the lights, you'd have an observation camera for whoever's behind you. I want to talk briefly about the entertainment system. The entertainment system has a radio antenna up there and okay, I was looking for the park cable. We have no park cable on this. This one has the ability to do a DVD player through an HDMI cord and a USB. You can plug a DVD player in and place it right here and operate your DVD player right through here. Okay, we've talked about the outside of the trailer. It's time to talk more about the inside. I want to follow up on my water system first. The Alde system lives right underneath this couch. So I'm going to lift that panel. And now you can see that we have the water pump. The water pump is right in the back. Your Nautilus system is on the side here, on the other side. Your Alde system I'm leaning on right here. That would be the electronics side of it. You have spare fuses in case you lose your electronic display. That green fuse holder holds these glass fuses and would allow you to restore the operation of the panel. Now, if the panel goes out, I get about 2 calls a year that would have to do with the panel on my Alde system has gone blank. And that usually happens from a power surge or a lightning strike or dropping your cord in water or a short in the car. But when it does happen, sometimes people say it's just because I unplugged the camper while I had the Alde system running and now it doesn't work when I plug it back in. So do shut the system down before you unplug. Talking about plugs, this is your power outlet to operate your Alde system on electric, right here on the wall. This is the mixing valve. The hot water comes out of the boiler at anywhere from 150 to 170. So this mixing valve allows you to mix the cold and hot together. Now there are instructions on how to set it even hotter. We've turned it all the way counterclockwise, all the way to the plus position, the hottest setting. But if you take that screw out, you can lift the cap off, turn it past to stop, and go another full turn. Well, I did that today for somebody on an Avia. We went 1 full turn more, and she was happy with the temperature of it at that point. This operates on either electric, the 120, or the propane as the power source for the heating. The electronics that I showed you before is the 12 volt side. So when it's running on propane, it's also using the 12 volt to control what happens in the burner. The black hoses are your heater hoses. They connect to the radiators. And the blue hoses would be cold water. The red would be hot water. The circulator pump is right down here at the bottom. There is a speed control on the circulator pump. If it's turned too high, it will make noise. The place that it's usually set is either all the way down or down plus a quarter turn up. This one was turned all the way down. I'm going to turn it up just a smidgen, but slowing the circulator down doesn't really inhibit the heating on a trailer like this. If it's too high with a system this small in terms of the number of radiators, it'll make noise. The water pump is where we're sucking the antifreeze into when we hook up the Nautilus system outside to winterize. At the same time, we would take the screen off of here and check it for impurities. Behind here is a storage area, a small storage area. Also, your outdoor shower hoses connect there. Talking about storage areas, when you want to get to the storage under one of these bed sections, these seats, or the non-storage area behind this power converter, you need to have the back of your couch all the way back. If you don't, it's too tight for you to lift up the storage area. By putting the couch back down, you're able to push that back another ½ inch. And then when you take the cushions off of the seat, you can lift this up and see what's in there. So in this one, we have an air conditioning duct coming up to the top. We have the solar controller. We have the backside of the power converter, all of our wiring going up to behind the shower and up to the sink and the fridge, and the backside of the GFI. We have this conduit that takes our heat up to the front. So when you are setting up your bed at night, the first thing you'll want to do is put down your side of the couch, and then you're able to easily reach under here and pull this out, even if the cushions are still in place. It makes it much easier to pull it out. Okay, so now we're going to take and set down my half of the bed. I'm going to push the cushions together. I'm going to put my mattress topper on there to take up the gaps, and I'll be able to stretch out across there and go to sleep. In this location, you can have somebody sleeping and somebody on the other side working. Okay, so I'm going to slide this back without lifting up so high. You know, it might help if I could take a little glance at what I'm doing here, though. Okay, so back into the seating configuration. I want to show you how this table works. The table, to some people, seems like such a mystery, but let's take the mystery out of it. When the tabletop is away, you can see that you're just spinning a nut around and around. Well, you have this nut, and you have this tool attached to the nut. And this tool simply goes round and round and round and round. It does not turn the nut unless you have it pressed down into the splines of the nut to be able to turn it. The reason it's allowed to turn like that is so you can get hold of it if it's not in the right position. So if I reach underneath here and I turn it and I haven't loosened it enough, I can pull that handle back out and rotate it back and get another bite on that nut. So this is a tool splined on that spline nut, spring loaded into the spline. Okay, so well then what do I do to take the tabletop off? Well, I turn the tabletop so I can spin this around. And I'll either put my hand or my knee underneath and I lift that up. And now I can turn this into a position that allows me to take the pedestal off and slide it onto the table, lock it down. I don't want to over tighten it. These threads are stainless steel, and the stainless steel will gall and not loosen if you make it too tight. So now at this point I can put this underneath, or I can put it outside and cover it with a bag if I want to keep it outdoor as the table. In this case, I'm going to set it aside here so we can look at the other compartments without any obstruction. So the next thing I want to talk about is actually the air conditioner. Everybody likes AC. We used to like AC when it was a unit mounted up here. Now we've got a microwave up there. Let's talk about the microwave. They come packaged with this cardboard around the glass, and they have the carousel in such a way that it can't get any damage. So I think that tells us that they're concerned about if it bounces around, it might break. So you should take the same precautions when you travel. You should take the carousel off, wrap the plate in a towel and the carousel underneath the plate, upside down, everything protected, so when you're traveling you don't have to worry about it breaking. The wheels on the carousel will break before the glass will, but it's not much good without the carousel working. Okay, so we're talking about the air conditioner used to be here, and we had some drainage problems occasionally. We had limitations on how cold it would be. Now we've got an 8,000 BTU unit that's a central air unit. We've got a duct up here that I can reach my fingers in and twist it around to different locations, direct the air where I want it to. We've got one down here by the entrance. I can turn this one up to my feet while I'm at the sink. I can turn this one so it blows out under the bed to keep the dog cool. And I have a nice central air unit underneath the bed. So this central air unit blows the heat out the bottom, takes in the fresh air from the bottom, and the heat exchanger, of course, the evaporator side has 3 ducts that come out and transmit the cold air, transfer the cold air. Plugs in right here. It's been trouble-free in the 320s. It's working really well. There would be some space that you could build a little platform storage area here, but you do not want to make it too tight. You need the air to be able to flow into the unit. The air returns are underneath here, so it takes in the air there and it blows it out here. So you don't want to restrict any of this area at all. The area along the insulated side, it wouldn't really care if you had a bit of air restriction there.